Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Win in STEM podcast. This is your girl Shade. Thank you for tuning in. For our first time listeners, Win in STEM is a platform to highlight successful people of color STEMists to show others how to get a seat at the table and win in science, technology, engineering, and math. In our past few episodes, we've been covering different STEM career paths. We've covered actuarial science, data science, product management, and this week we'll be covering mechanical engineering. So far, my females have been taking over the podcast lately, so I decided to switch it up a little bit. My special guest for today is Rahman Quadri, a mechanical engineer by day and DMV's hottest photographer by night. So thank you, Rahman, for supporting the podcast and being a guest.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Shade.
So, Rahman, I know you're very familiar with the podcast. You know the drill. This is your time to introduce yourselves, tell our listeners who you are, what you do, share any accomplishments. This is your time to brag. The floor is yours.
First of all, thank you for having me, Shade. I'm a very big fan of Winning STEM podcast. I don't know how long I've been listening to it, but I look forward to it every Wednesday. My name is Abdur-Rahman Quadri. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and then right now I work as a mechanical engineer. During the day, my 9 to 5 is mechanical engineering, and sometimes after 5 o'clock, I do a little bit of photography, but my weekends are mostly photography. I moved to the States in 2017 for my master's, and then I finished my master's from the University of Maryland College Park in 2018. I think my getting my master's was has been my greatest accomplishment because when I started my master's degree, I was put on probation, believe it or not, in my first semester. I had a 2.8 GPA and I needed to be on a 3.0 GPA. And I was really scared. I was like, oh God, what's going to happen to me? Will I go back to Nigeria and stuff like that? But then I had to gather up strength and study like crazy. And I got the 4.0, 4.0, and 3.9 GPA after that. So I was really proud of myself.
Nice, nice. So let's dive in. Our major question for today: what is mechanical engineering? Because I know a lot of people, when they think of mechanical engineering, they think of cars, mechanics, and it's definitely is not the
Yeah.
same. So can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, that's the first question people ask me when I say I'm a mechanical engineer. Is can you fix my car? And I'm like, well, I can fix your car. It depends on what's wrong with it and the skills, but that's not my job. Mechanical engineering is just an industry where we try to solve problems. You find a mechanical engineer everywhere, from the housing industry to the oil and gas to the healthcare sector to the like for housing now. That's where I fall in. I'm into the HVAC design and plumbing. In the For example, you have people in the automotive sector. In the automotive sector, you have the technicians that do with the running of the cars, but people who determine how can we get this car faster, how can we get it more fuel efficient, who deal with the day-to-day running of the plant and how to solve more problems. So that's what the mechanical engineer will be doing. Um,
Mhm.
so that's what we do. We go into different industries and we try to make people's life better. Try to determine the provide new materials. Provide, for example, I was talking to a friend. And we're discussing about the Apple AirPods, and I said that's a lot of engineering into it because if you look at the AirPods, when you're designing it, you have to think about what happens when it falls, the kind of vibration shock that you need to provide for this equipment, and all those good stuff. So that's where mechanical engineers come in. Even into nanotechnology, you need a mechanical engineer to determine what kind of materials you need for that technology and all those kind of things. So it's mechanical engineering is ubiquitous. You can go into mechanical engineering and diverse into into so many fields and also specialize in different fields. It depends
Hmm.
on how you want to play the game, but it's fun stuff because we get to solve problems.
So, how did you get into mechanical engineering? Did you have family members or friends that introduced you to the field, or did you see someone that you looked up to that was in it that inspired you?
Interestingly, my dad is an accountant, and my mom is also in that sector too. So it's not like I imitated them. I love technical drawing from the onset, so I think that was kind of like what bolstered me to go into mechanical engineering. I went to science classes. No one told me that I was going to do physics and further mathematics, which was one of the things that almost deterred me. But I was like, okay, I'm in it. I'm in it. There's no turning back. And then I remember one time when my uncle drove me to Muritala Mohammed. We just kind of like went around, and then I saw airplanes for the first time. I was very close to the airplanes, and I was like, I want to build something like that. And my mind has always been to be an aeronautical engineer. Although I didn't
Mm.
really follow that path, but my I just got so much love in engines. I like researching engines. I can tell you if a car passes me, I can tell what kind of car it is. I'm a fanatic about car engines, the V4, V6. I'm very excited about things like that. So that's how I got into mechanical engineering. And it's just been, I won't say smooth sailing, but it's been one step after the other after that.
Yeah, I feel you. When I did engineering, no one told me about physics. And the physics that we take with engineering is different physics from everybody else.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I definitely know what you feel.
yeah. I think everything about mechanical engineering is physics. Physics and mathematics. Yeah, you combine both of them, and then you take your results to the lab, and then you say, okay, does this make sense? Then you go back again, and then do more physics.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So you talked about specializing, like I guess mechanical engineering has different things you can specialize in. So when you did your master's, did you specialize in anything in particular?
my master's was in general engineering, but I had to path when I was taking my master's. I was either going into the semiconductor industry or either going into the HVAC industry. So I had to pick one of them. Luckily for me, my younger brother is an architect, so we already started
Mm.
speaking HVAC terms, and that kind of like I won't say convinced me into going into the HVAC industry, but it made it easier for me to just transition there. But
Hmm.
usually, most people once you're doing your masters, start thinking maybe you want to go to aeronautics or you want to go to aerodynamics or something like that. But for me, it was kind of like an easy choice for me, thanks to my younger brother.
Okay, okay, okay. So now, as you're working as a mechanical engineer, what is your day to day like? What type of projects do you work on?
Yeah. So first of all, I wake up by like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Mm.
I do a couple of stretches, then I listen to the news. I get to work around like 7:30 ish. So before I leave work the previous day, I try to do like a task list for the next day, just to get me in check because people tend to forget a lot of stuff, and I don't really want to forget stuff. So I go through my task list. In my industry as an HVAC engineer, I work with civil engineers, I work with electrical engineers, I work with architects. So I try to tackle all the coordination efforts first thing in the morning. So I send out the emails I need to send out to each discipline. I make sure I just gather all the coordination emails and send it out. Awaiting their feedback. That way, by like 8, 9 o'clock, I'm working on just designing. So
Mhm.
I right now I'm working on a couple of projects. Working on the school, working on DOA facilities, working on healthcare facilities. It's a married of projects. It's everything together, and that which makes it very interesting because the way you design a
Mhm.
school will be different from the way you design
Mm.
an airport complex will be different from the way you design a restaurant and things like that. So each building has its own spirit. So you have to just tame the spirit of the building.
With all the different projects that you work on, what type of challenges do you face?
Yeah. So as I said, once I get to work, my first thing I do is send the coordination meetings. That's the very important thing is coordinating with other disciplines. You
Mm.
want to make sure there's effective communication, or else like things will just fall apart.
Yeah.
And a lot of engineers don't want to do that because it takes extra effort to do that communication. But once you can communicate effectively with these guys, it's very easy for you kind of have, you have a smooth sailing project. Also meeting the client's expectations. Sometimes a client might think, "Oh, I want to do one, two, three, four, five, six," but then it could not be according to code, and then you know this, so you have to like say, "Okay, this is reality, and these are the things that we can do with respect to code. If you want this kind of
Mhm.
design, we can, maybe find a way and go around it, but make sure it's still according to code." So, getting the client's expectation down and
Mhm.
making sure your design is within budget and yeah, and according to the time. It's very challenging when, as an engineer, you work on three, four, five projects in a week or at the same time. So you have to like also dedicate your time and make sure you are within the client's budget and also getting the client what he needs.
The challenge with customers, I think that's been a repeated concept
Hmm.
within my like podcast series.
Hmm.
Like the last episode that I recorded on product management, she also stated that a challenge is working with customers because sometimes their priorities change. They want to add things, they want to remove things, but you have to make sure that whatever that they're requesting in the particular product that it falls between budget, the timeline, making sure that the scope is still intact.
Yeah,
So that's definitely a common theme between, I think, just STEM in general,
yeah.
just working with customers and making sure to communicate priorities.
Yeah, and a lot of customers don't understand what goes on in design of HVAC system. So when I say HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, so all they see at the end of the day is the finished product, how the
Hmm.
systems work themselves, how we get to the selection of the systems. They don't understand it, and that's kind of like the job of my job as a mechanical engineer is not just to put the systems there, but also to educate the owner that okay, this is the reason why we're putting this system. The system is more efficient because of so and so. We're using this system in place of other systems because it provides this feedback and all this good stuff. So it's very early in the design process. We always try to bring in the owner, although most of them are always in quote busy, but we always try
Hmm.
to engage them and make sure they understand what they're actually going through. Most of them will rather just give it to like the project manager to deal with, but we ensure that everyone understands the whole process, the whole HVAC process, and everyone is fine with it.
Hmm.
But it's interesting, yeah.
So, what is your favorite part? I think you mentioned it a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate your favorite part in mechanical engineering.
My favorite part is when I design and I see it being built.
Mm-hmm.
It's so relieving. I've done a couple of projects and just seeing them being built to based on my design is something that is extremely relieving. And then also when I go on site visits, for example, if I'm doing like a renovation project and the occupants they tell me that okay, these are my issues, this, that, and I'm busy and I can take I won't say easily, but I can take their issues and put them into my design and make sure they don't experience such problems in the future. It's knowing that I can provide comfort to people is also very relevant to me. And makes me want to get up in the morning.
Yeah, same. Like being able to produce a quality product and giving it to the customer and seeing that the product helps the customer like achieve whatever goal they have
Yeah,
is, yeah, definitely fulfilling.
yeah. Like I did the toll plaza in Ohio, and I haven't. I've seen the photos of the place, but I haven't. I think I'm going to have so much. I'll probably have like goosebumps if I drive to the plaza, just knowing that I designed the HVAC system for a
Yeah,
particular place. Yeah,
yeah,
it's interesting. I like it.
for sure. What type of skills helped you be successful in mechanical engineering? Now that you've been through undergrad, masters, and now you're working, what skills has helped you along the way?
So I would say being able to communicate effectively is one thing, and that's just outside the education that you need to learn.
Hmm.
Getting the mechanical engineering degree, but having strong communication skills with not just with your colleagues at work, but with other disciplines that you work with. From the onset of the project, you need to start communicating because
Hmm.
the more you delay, the more time is wasted. It just you just keep on getting backlog and backlog. If you don't understand something, you need to like raise up your hand during the meeting and be like, okay, can you elucidate further? Can you make this clear? You need to understand the scope of the project. Make sure everyone is on board, the owner, all the clients, all the disciplines. Communication skills is, I can't overemphasize it. It's extra
Mm-hmm.
necessary. Then time management, you need, because you're working on tons of projects. As a mechanical engineer, you're working on big, small, medium projects, so you need to be able to manage your time effectively, or you're gonna end up you don't have days like that where you have like 3 or 4 submissions and then you're also waiting and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
effective time management is necessary. And then I would say if you're going into the HVAC industry, one thing you should have is your EIT. It's called Engineers in Training. That's something I didn't know because I came from Unilag here. The EIT is very important if you're going to the industry because once you get your EIT, you can then sit for your PE exam, and PE is the professional exam. That with the PE license, you can then stamp on drawings, and of course, you can get more pay, way more pay than the EIT. But the earlier you do that, the better for you. You just want to get your PE and then be, term professional engineer and get a good pay raise. Yeah, those are the skills. Communication and time management is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. And the EIT and the PE that you mentioned, engineering training, professional engineer, is that specifically for mechanical engineering, or does that apply to other types of engineers or any of the
I
fields?
think it applies to other engineering and not just mechanical, because for most people in the HVAC industry, you need to have the PE
Mm,
HVAC industry because you have to like sign up on documents and drawings. But I don't know about other industries. Well, I know for sure if you're in the HVAC industry and you want to get to the top, you need to get your PE because then that's when you can start signing up
mm,
drawings, or else you just be a drafter and you
yeah.
get a professional experience.
Hmm. Okay. For those who want to get into mechanical engineering, what other pathways or strategies do you recommend for them to get into the field? I know you mentioned EIT, PE. Is there anything else?
Because mechanical engineering is a wide subject. I think people shouldn't be overwhelmed as to what they want to go with. And I think they should start with just doing like general mechanical engineering and then taking. I did a class that involved what's it called, semiconductor class.
Mm,
Just doing that class made me just change my trajectory about engines. I almost lost my feelings for engines and I just wanted to work on semiconductors because they were just so fascinating and interesting. So I think having an open mind when you're going into mechanical engineering is will make it very fun for you, and you can that way you can easily spot new things that you like. So when I was doing my masters, I said, okay, so I don't want to push myself into doing something. I want to have an open mind. So I said I'll do general mechanical. So I took classes in semiconductor, HVAC, aerodynamics. I just mixed them up, and then I just went with the flow. So I said you shouldn't don't sweat about it.
hmm.
Take a deep breath and just see which of the sections of mechanical engineering that makes you that tickles you, and then just go with it.
So, did you use any like resources like YouTube or like Coursera or maybe like any type like boot camps? Do they offer that for mechanical engineering?
I would say it depends. It depends on the mechanic on what you're doing. For the HVAC industry, it's more like you have to learn it as you work. Even
Hmm.
when you do design, the design is going to be you need jobs. You need to have a particular job you're working on for you to learn how to design. You can learn design in school, but the real world example is completely different from what you learn in school. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think most of the things in my industry is learning on the job. But for the EIT though, you don't need to learn on the job. The PE, yes, you need to learn on the job. Those are experiences that you need on the job. But EIT, you can get that one maybe from your freshman year. You can write the EIT, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the things I do is there are things that you would learn as you start working on different projects.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Even like with my field of engineering, like we go through different coursework, but a lot of the stuff that you learn on the job.
Yeah, but I would say
And
like, sorry to cut you short, like thermodynamics too. But all these things are stuff you learn in school, but then
mhm,
you can't like learn about thermodynamics. I used to just think it was just all fun and play until I got to work and they gave me a psychometric chart. And I'm like, oh wow, so I have to do this here. Or being
mhm,
able to take the information from the chart and actually putting it into data and making it make sense is what engineering is what tickles me about engineering. That's why I want to go back to work is taking the data and making sense of it.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, like taking what you learn and then putting it into practice
absolutely.
during the real world.
Absolutely.
So I know in the field of engineering is not very
Mm-mm.
diverse. And so when we dive in into different types of engineering, electrical, chemical, it's even more not diverse. So, and whenever I meet or hear mechanical engineering, I don't really see females in the field or even African Americans, Black people, even just minorities, period. So, how is the diversity in the field? And is there a lot of women? How is it like?
There are not a lot of women in mechanical engineering. Yeah, I think when I was in Unilag, there were four girls in my class, in a class of maybe 50. And even in my
Wow.
master's class, too, it's still kind of the same ratio. Where I work, there's just one woman in maybe 15 engineers. So it's,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's not very, when it comes to the woman aspect, it's not, I don't know why women are scared of mechanical engineering, but yeah, the women that are in mechanical engineering, what I've noticed about them, they are very, very strong. They know their stuff. It's very. I like seeing
Mhm.
women in engineering, which is the sad part because there are not a lot of women in engineering, but they talk with so much, personality.
Mhm.
One of my previous directors, she was just the bomb. She had this aura. You wouldn't know she's the only woman in the like you wouldn't know she's leading a bunch of men. She's great
Mhm.
with her work and all those good stuff. So I would like to see more women coming to mechanical engineering. It's an interesting place because you get to do a lot of stuff, and it's not just coming to work and it's living your day away. You get to impact people. You get to work on
Mhm.
projects. Like for example, if you're working on an hospital project and things like that, you get to really impact people. So people shouldn't be scared of mechanical engineering. It's open to everyone.
Yes, yes. So if you're a female, if you're a student, if you're a professional, and you're listening to this podcast episode and you're interested in mechanical engineering, you can go and apply to those jobs, go and major in it.
Yeah,
Um, and plus, like in school, there's a lot of professional organizations that can help you through it. I know I'm not sure what the mechanical is, but I know for like electrical, we have IEEE, which is just an engineering society just for electrical.
hmm
I'm sure mechanical engineering has one. There's NSB, National Society of Black Engineers.
yeah. There's American Society of Mechanical Engineers.
Hmm,
There's
hmm.
also there's ASHRAE, American Society of and Refrigeration Engineers. Under ASHRAE, there's Young Engineers Association, which is more like for young HVAC engineers, and yeah, that's more fun stuff. We get to go to like different football games and whatnot like that. So it's yeah, the young engineers try to make it more lively, but it's more interesting to have some more women in the industry.
Yes, yes, yes. So definitely tap in. Like, let's say if you're already in the field and you're struggling, or you just need support, or find someone that looks like you, definitely tap into these engineering societies.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, cool. Well, thank you so much, Ramon, for teaching us about mechanical engineering. This is one of those fields that we don't really hear about. So I love that you're able to come on and teach us about what you do day to day and how we can tap into this field.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So, our listeners, where can they connect with you?
Okay, so my 9 to 5 job, which is my mechanical engineering job, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Abdul Abdur, not with the L, with the R, Rahman Rahman Quadri Quadri. And on weekends and anything after 5 p.m., you can reach me on my photography website. Is Abdur Visuals, Abdurvisuals at Abdur Visuals. You can reach me out on Instagram, and my website is also abdurvisuals.com. I don't know which one I would do if I had the opportunity of either doing HVAC or photography. They're both stuff I really like, so I'm not sure.
Well, don't worry. I'll put both of them, both of the contact information in the description. So if people want to ask you more questions about mechanical engineering, they can do that. Or if they need some picture taken in the DMV,
Yeah.
they can hit you up too. Or they want to buy some photography, they can get that from you too. And then I know that you're also part of this group called Young Africans in Tech. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So Young African in Tech is a group started by four guys. I'm the fourth person. One is in Canada. One of my other friends is in Germany, and one of our the last guy is in Nigeria. We all went to Unilag, and then if you have been to Unilag, especially in the engineering department, you will know that there is a lot of insufficiency when it comes to research, equipment, the kind of education that we receive there. So what we're trying to do is provide education, not just education, but quality education to students, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa. Uh, so we recently trained 20 students on data analysis, where they learned SQL and some other stuff on data analysis. I don't have so much knowledge on data analysis, so I can't speak much about it. But and we plan on doing this, on pushing this further because I was so excited and I was so happy with the turnout of both people that applied, and Shadi, people applied not just from Nigeria or not just from everywhere in Nigeria, but people applied
Hmm.
from Ghana, people have applied from South Africa, from Uganda, from Kenya. So
Wow.
there's so much for us to do. There's so much for, and it's not just young Africans in tech. It's for every every one of us there. We can help to provide education in any way we can.
Mhm.
There's so much, like over 9,000 people applied
Wow.
for this, and that just blew our minds off that there's so much to do. There are people that want to learn. So what we're just trying to do is provide quality education to them.
Awesome. And know are you still looking for mentors?
Oh yes, we're looking for mentors. So you can reach out to us on our Instagram profile. It's If you search for YAIT, and then you would find a link in the bio there. We're looking out for mentors in data analysis because these students just finish their classes, and then we're looking to pair them with mentors that can help them with their resume, help them with their careers, selecting the proper careers, and just giving them proper guidance. Um,
Hmm.
these people want to learn. We've seen it from the inception, from the application to their final exam. They have proven that they want to learn if given the opportunity. So, if you're out there and you're willing to share knowledge in data analysis or help someone grow in data analysis, please go to our Instagram. Just search for YAIT, Young Africans in Tech, and click on the application for a mentor, and then we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Yep. And applications are due September 30th.
Yes.
So make sure and get on that.
Mhm.
And yeah. So thanks again, Ramon. I appreciate you for always, always supporting the podcast. One of our day one listeners and supporters. I appreciate you.
Thank you for the great work. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. And then for everyone else who's listening, thank you for tuning into another episode of the STEM Career Path series. Make sure to rate, like, subscribe on all our platforms. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Follow us on Instagram at the Win in STEM podcast. And if there's any particular career that you want us to cover, or if you'd like to be a guest, send us a message. Until next time, enjoy the rest of the week. Be great and go out and win in STEM. Bye, everyone.